Hi guys, welcome to Estibella Design. My name is Esther Clara. In today's video, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful dress. You can see me doing shakara with it. It's a cut together yoke. The yoke is not separated from the dress. So if this sounds like what you love to learn, let's get right into it. So the fabric that we needed for this tutorial are this, I don't know what it's called. Is it a sample net or so? It's very beautiful fabric. That's what I'm going to be using. Then I'm going to be using my bridal satin. This is a double face bridal satin. I'm going to be using it as the lining and the interlining. Then I'm going to be using this tulle net. I'll show you what I'll be using this tulle net for. I'll use it to turn the neckline. Instead of using a bias, I'm going to use this to turn the neckline. You will see it when we get into the tutorial. So I'll keep this aside for now. Then we'll go straight into the tutorial. So what I'll be needing is my basic bodice. This is my basic bodice block. If you don't know how to draft this, I'll drop a link in the description box of how to draft this. This is often used on this channel. By now you should know how to draft your basic bodice. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's keep the back aside for a while. So the next thing I'll do is to mark how deep I want the neckline to be. How deep I want it to be, the one that will be inside. So how deep do you want it to be? So I want it to be 7 inches. So I'm going to mark 7 inches and I'll square this line. I'll mark 7 inches. So this is where I want it to be, more like an off shoulder, the inner one that will be off shoulder. This is how deep I want it to be. Then I'll draw the style line I want it to have a sweetheart neckline. So, and I want it to get to the chest line, the sweetheart neckline. So I'm just going to draw it. Let me use my marker pen. So you see it. So this is going to be my neckline, but I'm not going to cut it yet. We are going to cut this on the main fabric first. And let's not forget our bust dart. So I'm going to close my bust dart so that it can align with the back. So I'll cut out my bust dart. I'll close my bust dart, and for me to do that, I have to open my waist dart. So I've opened my waist dart, then I'll close my bust dart. Then I'll blend the side. And cut off any excess that is there. Okay, so that is done. You can see it's now matching up with the back. No one is longer than anyone. So because I'm going to sew the darts, I'm going to cut off this dart intake at the waist, because I'm going to sew it. So let me just cut it off. I'll transfer it to fabric, then sew it. Okay, so let's work on the back. So for the back too, I'm going to come down by 7 inches, just the way I came down by 7 inches for the front. Then I'll square this line too. Then I'll determine the neckline I want for my back. I want a V neckline, so I'm just going to mark a V neckline at the back. Okay, so this is going to be my neckline for the back, but I'm still not going to cut it. Then I can alter the neckline, the main neckline I can alter it. So the neckline that is here originally is 3 by 3, which is our basic neckline. So I'm just going to add 1 more inch to it. I'll add one more inch, so that it's going to be 4 by 4. I'm going to add 1 inch here too. Then I'll alter the width of this one too. I'll make it 4. Now the depth, I'll increase it by half. Then I'll connect it. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is just to cut out this neckline, only the neckline, the main neckline. Okay, so now I'm going to transfer this to fabric. First I'll transfer this to fabric before we now cut off this, then cut this one again as the inner one. I've placed it on the fabric and I've added my allowances. On the shoulder I added 1/2 inch, on the neckline I added 1/2 inch. This is the zipper allowance, I added 1 inch for the zipper allowance. On the armhole I added 1/2 inch. By the side here I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. You can add more, you can add 2 inches, 1.5, but I want to add just 1 inch, so I added 1 inch. And by the side for the front I added 1 inch too. Down here I added 1/2 inch. Down here I added 1/2 inch. On the armhole 1/2 inch, neckline 1/2 inch, shoulder 1/2 inch. Then let's come to the dart. Look at what I did at the dart. Look at what I did at the dart area. You see, I came out by 1/2 inch. You see, I came out by 1/2 inch so that I will use this 1/2 inch to sew it, because I'm going to cut this excess out. You'll see it when I cut it now. I'll cut this excess out, but I left 1/2 inch. So it's with that 1/2 inch I'm going to use it to sew. I'm not going to sew it to the bust point. I came down by 1 inch, so I'm going to sew up to this 1 inch and stop. I will not get to the bust point. You see it? That's exactly what I did. Then on this part I'm going to notch the dart leg. I'm going to notch the dart leg, so that's where I'm going to sew. So let's cut it out now. Okay guys, so I've cut it out. The next thing I'm going to do is to use my tool net. I told you I'm going to be using this tool net, so I'll cut exactly what I have here. Exactly, I'm going to cut it on my tool net. So I'll use it to turn the neckline. It's just because of the neckline. I don't want to use a bias, so I'm going to cut exactly this and I'll use it to turn it. So let me cut exactly this. Cut it out. You see, I cut tool net with it. After cutting our main fabric, I cut tool net. This is my tool net. I don't know if you can see it. This is the tool net. So I cut it for both front and back. That's what I'm going to use to turn the neckline. So what I will do now is to remove my pattern so that we can cut the other one. Okay, so I'll keep this aside first. Then now what I'll do is I'll cut out the inner one. So I'm going to cut out our neckline now. So this is the neckline for the front. This will be out. We are no longer using this. This is the, you know, the dress is going to be like it has a yoke. So now we are removing the inner one that is not going to have these top parts. We are removing it now. That's for the back. So this one too is out. So this, now I'm going to transfer this to fabric. Now we're going to be transferring it to our bridal satin, this one. So I'm going to be cutting two of it, because one is going to serve as the interlining and the other one is going to serve as the lining. So I'll cut 2 pieces for this, and I'll cut, since this one has center back, I'm going to cut 4 pieces of this. I've transferred it to fabric. You can see I added 1/2 inch on the neckline, 1/2 inch on the armhole. This is the armhole. I added 1 inch by the side, 1/2 inch armhole, neckline 1/2 inch. This is zipper allowance. I added 1 inch, 1/2 inch below, 1/2 inch below. But I'm here to cut out the dart of the front. So let's cut out the darts for the front. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Let's cut out the darts for the front. See it here. I'm going to stop 1 inch before the dart. So let's cut it out. Okay, you see the dart is out. I'm going to sew it back. So I cut 2 pieces for each. I told you I was going to cut 2 pieces. Let me remove it so that you see it. Then I'll transfer the back dart. Since I'm not cutting out the back dart just like I did for the front, I'm just going to connect it so that it appears on the fabric. See what I'm going to do? Then I'll notch it. I've traced it to the fabric, so I'll notch it. Then I'll get a pin. See what I'm doing? I'll get a pin. I'll poke it inside here like this. Then I can remove my pattern. When I'm removing my pattern, I will not allow the pin to come out with it. Okay, so you can see the pin is there. So from the pin, I'll trace it down to where I notched here. That is how to transfer your dart. So you see, I've transferred my dart. I'll do the same thing to the one at the back. Look at the places I notched. I can still find them here. So I'll connect it to the pin. The pin is still there. So I'll connect it to the pin. Okay. So I've successfully transferred it. And see this one. This one is for the lining and this is for the interlining. And this is for the front. I also cut 2 pieces for the lining and interlining. So I'm going to sew the dart. So let's start assembling all our pieces together. So this is what I'm going to do. Let's keep this here. I'll bring my main fabric. I'm going to first of all use my tool net to turn the neckline. I'll put my tool net over it like this. This is the right side, so I'll place my tool net over the right side. You see it? This is my skin tone net. So I'm going to sew 1/2 inch on the neckline, only on the neckline. Then I'll turn it. Then it will become just one piece. I can hold it together with my machine. I'll just hold the stitch together after I sew it, the neckline, and turn it so that it becomes one. So I'll do for both of the back, then I'll do for the front too, just to hold the neckline together. That's just to sew the neckline. I don't want to use a bias. That's the essence of this. But if you want to use a bias, you can skip this. You can skip this part. So I'm going to put it like this. Then I'll put my skin tone net over it like this. Then I'll sew only the neckline. Then I'll turn it, then hold it as one. So let me just sew the neckline. I've turned it with my tool net, you see, and I've taken it to the back. You see, now my neckline is neat and I love it. So that's how the neckline is going to be. So the tool net is at the back now. So I used pin to secure it together as one. So it is one now. You see it, the front is one and the back and the back too. You see it, the tool net is behind it too. I used it to turn the neckline. So let's start working on the inner one. Let's keep the back piece aside. So let's work on the inner part. So I'm going to bring the inner part. You know there are two. One is going to be my lining and the other one is going to be the interlining. So let me keep one of them aside first. This is the lining. Let me keep it aside. Then the interlining, what I'll do is I'll put it down like this. Then I'll place this over it. You see it? They will meet at the armhole. You see? They will meet at the armhole. You see them like this. And they will meet at the dart leg too. So align it at the dart leg. Okay? So this is what we have. So I'll go to my machine now and hold the dart together with it. You see it? I'll do it like this. Then I'll sew the dart all together. Both the interlining and the main fabric. So I'm going to hold my dart After holding that dart, I'll come to this place and hold my dart too. You see it? So I'm going to hold the dart and I'll show you what it looks like for the back too. I'm going to do the same thing for the back. So this is my interlining for the back. So I'm going to place it underneath it like this. You see it? And I'll place this over it. Don't forget, we have already marked our dart. So I'll arrange it so that it's aligned. Then I'll sew the dart. You see the dart? We have marked the dart. So I'm going to hold the dart together with it. This one too, I'll arrange it. Then I'll hold the dart. I'll hold the dart too. So let me hold the dart for both the front and the back, and I'll show you what next to do. Okay, let's keep this aside. After doing that, this is the lining for the front. I will go ahead and hold the dart for the lining too. You see it? I'll hold the dart for the lining. That's for the front. Then this is the back. I will go ahead and hold the lining for the lining too. I'll hold the dart too. You see it? I'll hold the dart for the lining. Only this, like this and like this. So let me hold the dart for all these pieces I just showed you. This is what we have. This is the back. You see, we have held all our darts. This is the back and this is the front. You can see it. I've held the dart. This is the dart. So the next thing we're going to do is to bring the lining. Even for the lining, I've held the dart for the lining. This is the lining piece for the back. I've held the dart. And this is the lining piece for the front. I've also held the dart. So what I'll do next is to turn the interlining. This is the interlining. The one with the main fabric is the interlining. So I'm going to bring my lining and I'm going to turn only the neckline. So see what I'm going to do. I'm going to put right side facing right side. This is the right side of the interlining. So I'm going to put them like this. You see them? Right side facing right side. Then I'll sew the neckline. Only the neckline from here. I'll sew it round and stop here, so that by the time I sew it, we'll now take it, it will now be like this. So you see how beautiful it is. So that's what I'm going to do now. Don't forget, only the neckline. You see it? Right side of the interlining facing the right side of the lining. Then I'll hold it like this. Then I'll sew the neckline. Don't sew this armhole, just sew it on the neckline. Then press it, we'll notch it, press it, then turn it in like this. So that's for the front. For the back, we're going to do the same thing too. You see it? Right side facing right side. Okay, this one is for this one. Right side facing right side. I'll sew only the neckline. Do not sew even the zipper. This zipper, leave the zipper allowance, this 1 inch. We're going to use it to turn our zipper neatly. So just sew from this, leave 1 inch zipper allowance, then sew from here to this part, to the end of the neckline here. Sew it, then we'll turn it like this. I'll do the same thing for this too. I'll put it like this. I'll leave the 1 inch zipper allowance, then I'll sew only the neckline. You see it? I'll go and sew it now, then turn it like this, then press it. So I've turned it. You can see how the inside is neat now. You see it? Everything is looking beautiful. So the next thing I'm going to do, I did the same thing for the back too. This is the back. Everything is looking neat. So the next thing we'll do is to join by the shoulders. So I'll turn them right side facing right side. Then I'll join by the shoulders. Because I have 2 nets there, you see, I'm going to use the 2 net as the lining, then turn it, join the shoulders. I'll join both shoulders. Then after joining the shoulders, we have to join the body. But we are going to join it one by one. We are not going to, we want a clean finish. So I'm going to remove the lining. When I'm joining the side, I'll remove the lining. Then I'll leave the, you know, the interlining and the main fabric, we are treating them as one. So what I'll do is I'll shape. I'll remove the lining for the back, remove the lining for the front. Then I'll insert my measurement, my bust measurement, and I'll sew. You see it? This is just the fabric to fabric. I'll sew. I'll put my bust measurement and my waist measurement, and I'll shape it. I'll do the same thing here. I'll remove the lining. I'll bring the fabric. When I say fabric, I mean the interlining and the main fabric. We are treating them as one. I hope you understand. So I'll bring them together and I'll shape here. After that, I will now come again and shape the lining. with the same measurement, I'll now shape the lining. You see it? I'll now shape the line. After shaping the main fabric, I'll put it aside, then bring the main. I'll just take this one to shape the lining. What I'll do, I'll just take this to the back like this. You see, now I have only lining to lining. Then I'll put my measurement, then I'll shape my lining. I hope you understand. So let me go and shape it. I'll shape both. I'll join the shoulders, then I'll shape the body. Then we'll now add our flare. We are going to be putting a flare at the down because it's a dress. So I've already cut the flare, but if you don't know how to cut, it's a 180 flare. If you don't know how to cut 180 flare, you would love me to make a video on how to cut it, you just drop it in the comment section, then I'll make a video on how to cut 180 flare, because I've cut it already. I've cut the lining too. So just drop it in the comment section that you want me to make a video, then I'll do just that. So let me do this and I'll come back. Okay guys, like I said, I've joined it. You see it? See how everything is looking very neat. I've joined it and I pressed it. So this is the inside. This is the inside. You see the way I pressed it? Okay, so now I've cut my flare like I told you I would do. So I'll attach, this is the fabric and the interlining. You see it? This is the interlining. So I'm going to join it. I'll remove the lining. I'll remove the lining part and I'll join this one, the fabric and the interlining. I'll join it to my flare like this. You see it? Then I cut another lining. This is my other lining. Now I will attach my lining. Okay, this is the lining, so I'll attach it like this. So the lining will be like this. Then I'll now attach the one for the fabric. The fabric one will now be like this. You see it? So guys, at the point of attaching my flare to the upper bodice, I noticed a disparity because of the tool net I use in turning the neckline of this. I noticed the upper part now became darker than the lower part, and it's not looking so nice. So what I would advise you do to turn this your neckline, what you will use is white. You will use white tool net, not skin tone net. You know, I use skin tone net and it's changing the whole color of the outfit. It's making the upper part totally different from the lower part. You see? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim the tool net away. I'm going to trim the tool net away up to the neckline. Then I'll just use the remaining part to make like a bias. So that means my tool net will not get to the down again. I'll cut it up to this part, then I'll fold it and use it like a bias to just finish up the neckline. Use a white tool net. If you are using a lace fabric that is not so transparent like this, because I usually use tool net to turn my neckline of laces and it's always okay, but this one, because it's white, is now changing the whole color. I hope you understand. But if you are using it as only a blouse, you are not attaching it to a lower part that is not going to be, that you are not going to infuse this tool net, then it can work. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So now I'm going to trim it off so that we can retain our white background. Okay, so let's do that. So I've been able to trace the tool net out. I traced it out. It's out, and I left a little portion of it. You see it? I left a little portion to serve as facing. So I used my hemming gum to press it down. So it's stopping somewhere here, and I used hemming gum to press it down. I did the same thing for the back. You see it? So that's where the tool net is stopping. I just don't like the feel of bias. Yeah, I don't like to see I just don't like it. So I ended up doing it this way, and I like it. I love it like this. So now I'll go ahead and fix in my flare. You see it now? No disparity again. They are now the same. So I'll fix it. Wow, see how beautiful our dress is looking. So this is the inside. See how neat it is. All the same are inside. So let me take it up so you see it. This is the inside, this is the fabric, and this is the lining part. So what we need to do now is to fix our zipper. So I'm going to fix my zipper on only the fabric first. You know, this our main fabric and this interlining, they're acting as one. So I'm going to fix my zipper from the top up to where I want it to be. Then I'll close the remaining part. You should know how to fix a zipper, so just fix your zipper. If you're not doing it finishing the way I'm doing, just fix your zipper the way you normally fix your zipper. Or if you are doing it finishing like me, so just fix your zipper like this. Okay, first I'll just close up the lower part. So I'll close up the lower part. I'll close up this lower part where the zipper will reach. I'll close it down like this, down. Then I'll leave the space, the upper space for the zipper. Let me close it, then I'll show you how to fix the zipper. From where the zipper will stop down, I've closed it. You see it? I've closed it. So I'm going to come to this part now. I'll start fixing the zipper from the top here. And when I get to where this lining and interlining, you know, we left 1 inch. We left 1 inch here. So I'm just going to hold the fabric with this, only the interlining, and sew my zipper. I will leave this one out of it. You see it? I will leave this one out of it, then I'll sew. I will leave the lining out of it. So let me just go and sew my zipper now. I'm using an invisible zipper. So I'll sew this part, then I'll sew this other part. Then I'll show you how to use the lining to turn it so that that zipper area will be neatly finished. I fixed the zipper on the main fabric. I removed the lining. This is the lining part. You see it? So what I will do next, I will notch this part. I'll notch this part, this main fabric where the net started from. Is it net or lace, whatever? So I'll just notch it to where the zipper is so that I can turn it, so I can use this lining to turn it like this, then sew. So let me notch it. I'll notch it to where the zipper started from. So now I have space to turn. So I'll turn the lining like this, then I'll sew. You see it? Then I'll sew the lining over it. I'll bring the lining, I'll bring this part out, bring the lining over it like this, then I'll sew it. You can see it. So I'll sew it, the lining on top of this one, and I'll stop where the zipper stops. You see it? I'll stop here. I don't know if you understand. I'll do it here like this, and I'll do this one too. Then I'll close the remaining parts. Then we'll fix our sleeve. Okay guys, so this is what we have. We have fixed the zip. So this is the outcome. Let me show you the inside. Look at the back. You can see how neat it is. Let's see what the inside look like. Wow. See the inside, so clean. So this is how yours should look. Everything should be neatly finished. Okay, so this is the inside. You can see how beautiful it's looking on the inside. See, everything's so clean. So this is how yours should look too. So this is the back. See it? Everything neatly finished. So what's left for us to do is to fix our sleeve. So I'm going to be using, this is the sleeve I want to use. If you don't know how to draft a basic sleeve, I'll put the link to a very detailed tutorial on how to draft your basic sleeve. I'll put the link in the description box so that you can check it out. So we are going to be doing slash and spread because I want the down of the sleeve to have volume, while the top would just remain the same. Like, so I'm going to draw slash lines from the midpoint. I'll draw the slash lines to this, my cap's height. So the next thing I'll do is to slash through and slash like this. I'm only slashing through the pattern. Okay, so I'll place here like this, and I'll spread this one. You see it? So this is what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to trace it out. I'll add elastic to bring this back like this, and I'll fix this to our dress, and that's all. That will be the end of the tutorial. So I'll show you the final product when I attach my sleeve. So here's the final look. I hope you found this video helpful. If you do, give it a thumbs up and drop a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.